Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of the Simple Knit podcast. My name is Eleanor. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Simple Knit Co, and here on YouTube where I share with you everything that I have been making recently. I hope you're all keeping well. It's a very overcast, depressing Saturday in Brisbane, Australia, where I'm from. It's cold, it's rainy, and I don't want to leave the house, so what better reason to sit down and film another little update for you. That's what I usually say, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking some time to hang out with me, and as always, to everyone who comes back every episode, I really appreciate spending some time with you and talking about one of my favorite things to talk about, which of course is knitting. So let's get started, I guess. I've been meaning to sit down and film for quite a few weekends now, but work has been crazy. We've had people off sick, so when we've got quite a small team, so when someone's off, there's quite a big void, which is stressful and tiring. And then I've had a couple of weekend trips away as well to visit friends in Melbourne and Sydney, which has been really nice. It's been really good to be able to go and just spend time with them again after a couple of years of not much travel at all. And then the only free weekend I've had recently, my fridge died, so I had to spend the weekend procuring a new fridge, which was not really what my stress levels or bank account wanted to spend a weekend doing, but it is what it is. Here we are, and let's just talk about some knitting. Grab a drink. I'll try not to be too verbose today, but we'll see how we go. I'll start with what I'm wearing. So I finished this jumper in the summer, but because it was the summer, I don't think I've actually worn it on the podcast before. This is the Tulip Guernsey by Midori Hirosi, which is Knit Cafe Midori, or she's changed her Instagram handle actually. Whatever. This is a very popular jumper pattern that I made in the summer. It's made out of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in the Everglade Heather colorway. I don't remember what size I made. I think I used the recommended needle sizes, and I knit the high neck option, and I knit everything kind of as per the pattern except for the sleeves. I just knit the sleeves straight without any decreases, and then did the ribbing on the same needle size to create this just like cute little 3/4 sleeve situation that's nice and loose but isn't too like flappy. Is that the word? Yeah, and I really like it. It's great to wear because it's cozy, but because I've got my forearms out, it's not too suffocatingly hot in our not very cold winters. But yeah, I've been getting quite a bit of wear out of this. I really like wearing it, and I would recommend you knitting one because it was really fun and quick to knit. So yes, that is the Tulip Guernsey. Did I say that? I'm sure I did. Ooh, so finished objects. So I have a few finished things because it's been a little while since I've spoken to you. So I do have a few finished things to share with you. The first one, it's finished. I haven't woven in the ends or blocked it, but this is the Habitation Throw, which is a pattern by Helen Stewart. And I made this using various colors from my Moonrise Yarn Co advent calendar from last year. And yeah, if I go, it's not a huge, it's kind of more like a little knee rug. Oh, someone's DMing me. Oh, I should really put my phone on do not disturb when I record these. It's not huge, but it also hasn't been blocked, so I reckon because it's garter stitch I can probably give it a good, but also I don't have any blocking wires, so I have to do it at a time when I have a lot of canned goods in my pantry, because that's like my little secret. I don't have any blocking tools at all. I just put a towel on the ground, and if I need to weigh something down, I use if I really need to weigh something down, I just use like tinned beans and tinned tomatoes. So yeah, that's a little bit behind the curtain at Simple Knit headquarters. But yeah, I love, this is really cute. I love the way the colors have turned out. I think I was almost done last time I showed you. So I was where this little sharky stitch marker is. So you knit it diagonally. So you just, it's a great pattern for if you have scraps and you just want to use up everything, because you just kind of do increases for half until you get to wherever you want to finish, or like halfway through your yarn, and then you do decreases and then you get a nice little square blanket. So yeah, it's really lovely. It was really fun and surprisingly fast to knit, but once again, it's not like a massive blanket. But yeah, I love how all these colors look together, and it's a cute little cozy, and it's not so huge. I've actually kind of around the house, I've been wearing it like a little shawl, so I just like wrap it around me when I'm in bed or on the couch. Where was I looking? What? Just wrap it around me like this, and it's really cozy. Or you can put it over your knees. I could probably wear it out as a shawl if I really wanted to. But yeah, that is the Habitation Throw, a really great pattern for scraps. I feel like whenever this pattern came out a few years ago, like literally everyone was knitting it, and as per usual, I jump on the bandwagon about 500 years after everyone else, but I rate it. It's a great pattern. Yeah, and if you have lots of scraps, you can use your scraps. Oh, really need to think before I open my mouth. But yeah, great pattern. You can make it in any weight yarn, just change your needle size. Yeah, and it folds up nice and cute and compact. So that is the Habitation Throw. My next finished object, very businesslike. I was also, I think, quite nearly finished this last time I showed you, and you're not going to be able to see anything because it's basically black yarn, and it is quite yellow because I've got mostly artificial light and it's very grey outside, but squint a little bit, turn up your brightness. This is and I've been wearing this a lot since I finished it, because I finished it not that long after I last recorded, and I've been wearing it heaps, so it is a bit fuzzy and covered in lint and crumbs. So this is the Weekend Slipover V-neck by Petite Knit. I knit this in Knit Picks Wonderfluff in the colourway Wellies Heather, I believe. It's basically a really, really dark charcoal. It's almost black, but it is a little bit heathered, so it has that really, really deep grey vibe. And yeah, I really, really like this. I believe I knit the 4th size. All of the details are on the actual accurate details are on my Ravelry pages, or feel free to just ask me in the comments if you want any info. But yeah, I believe I knit the 4th size. It's a really great just like vest pattern with these really nice big wide armholes and a nice deep V in the front. It is like a very deep V, so like it definitely, like if I wasn't wearing anything underneath it, you would be able to see like my entire boobs. But it's great for wearing over, I have worn it over button-up shirts, over t-shirts, over like turtlenecks, and it looks really great over all of them. And I wear a lot of like dark colors and denim, and it looks really great with those. So it's really comfy, really cozy. I love how this Wonderfluff, it's bulky weight but light, and also it wears really, really well over time. It's has that fuzzy effect. So if you have like a pattern that's for like a DK or Aran weight held with a mohair, this is a great substitute that's not quite as hot, but also wears really nicely. It doesn't get pilly or anything like that. And if it does, because it's a bit fuzzy, it just kind of looks more fuzzy. I really like the way it wears. I have a few jumpers out of this, and yeah, it's one of my favorite yarns to work with, even though it's a pain in the butt to get because you are at the mercy of international shipping. It's usually fine. It's kind of, everything's settled down a bit now. There was one order I did from overseas like earlier this year that took like 2 months to get here, which is just annoying because the tracking is just like a question mark for like 2 months. You're like, is my package coming? It always does. But yes, this is a really great pattern. Back to what we're actually supposed to be talking about. So yeah, you knit it from the top down. You knit like the back portion with some little short rows, and then you knit the front bits, join it up and knit in the round, and then you do the arms and the neck band. If I went off the yardage, that the pattern kind of suggested, because I think it is for like two, maybe like a, yeah, it is for two yarns held together. I think like a 10 ply like worsted held with a mohair is how the pattern's written. And even if I went off the yardage of what they said, it would have been like 9 balls of this yarn. And I was like, that's not right. It only took 5-ish skeins to make my Magnolia Bloom jumper. And this is at a tighter gauge, slightly more dense gauge. But I thought it can't, there's no sleeves, like it's got that really deep V. It can't take that much yarn. So I just ordered 5 skeins of this yarn. And then I did the front bits, and then I got worried I was going to run out of yarn. There's nothing I hate more than yarn chicken. It just makes fun hobby stressful. So what I did was when I got to, once I joined the front and the back in the round, I then went and knit the little sleeve caps and the neckband, so that then I could just, if I was going to run out of yarn, I could just keep knitting until I ran out. But I didn't. I had about half a skein left, so I was fine, and I knit exactly as per the pattern, the length and everything, so it was fine. But yes, I did do, so the pattern recommends on all of the edges, so the neck, the arms, and the bottom, to do a tubular bind off. I did it on the sleeves and the neck because it did give a really lovely finish. Are you going to be able to see? There we go. It does give a really nice edge around these parts, and because it's quite a simple garment, I did want that really nice finish. But in a fuzzy yarn, doing tubular, any sewn bind off is an absolute pain in the butt. Yeah, it's just like sticky and annoying, and we're like this, especially this neckband is quite a wide circumference, so you have like such a long tail of yarn that you're trying to pull through. It's just very annoying. So for the bottom edge, because it's like the bottom edge, I just did a regular stretchy knit 2 together bind off around the bottom edge, because, and it looks fine. I like the way these tubular ones sit at the top, but was not necessary, and I was not, there's no way in hell I was going to do a sewn bind off around that bottom edge. So I really recommend this pattern. I think it's really cute, very practical. It was really quick to knit because it's mostly just stockinette with a little bit of ribbing, and a very practical, like kind of workhorse wardrobe piece for the winter, and can wear it to work, wear it not to work. It's very cute. So that is the weekend slipover. I don't like, it's a vest. I don't know, is slipover like a thing in other countries? Because I've never heard of anything referred to as a slipover on my continent, and it sounds like you're slipping over. And as a very clumsy person, I really don't need to be reminded of slipping over, because I'm on the verge of slipping over at all times. So let me know in the comments below, if you don't live in Australia and or from any country, what do you call, like I would call that just like a vest. It's just a vest. Or maybe if it was a little bit longer, maybe a tunic, but probably just a vest. Have you heard the word slipover before used for a garment? I'd be very interested to know. Very interested, mildly interested to know. I'm not that obsessed. Just don't slip over. So, next finished object I have is a pair of socks. It's been a while since I finished a pair of socks. And this is just a regular, straight up stockinette sock knit in. It is the knit pick show today because this is some old Felici that I had in my stash. It is the Colourway Hawaiian shirt. I actually had when I ordered this yarn, I did quite a big, when I like order from knit picks, because it has to come from so far, and you get free shipping if you spend $125 maybe Australian, something like that. Don't quote me on that. I could just be making that up. So I usually will like save up the things I want to make out of knit picks yarn or whatever if I'm ordering, excuse me, from quite far away. Actually, if I'm ordering from anywhere, I usually like save up when I have like enough things that I want to get and just do one big order like once every year or two. So yes, this has been hanging around in my stash for a long time. I have used this yarn as well to make a pair of socks for a friend of mine, and because I'd ordered a bunch more self-striping yarn, I felt like I should probably get the remaining old yarn out of my stash before the new yarn came in. So this is just for me. I knit them how I regularly knit a stockinette sock. So I did it's about 20 rounds of 2x2 rib at the top. I do a German twisted cast on because that's nice and stretchy. And well, I just did like 3 color stripes, which usually ends up around 20 rows, but yeah, 3 stripes of ribbing, and then a heel flap and gusset, and I don't know what kind of toe. I just decrease 2 stitches, like the second stitch from the edge on each side. I decrease every other row. That didn't make sense. I'm sure you know what I mean. That's what I do, and it makes a nice toe that fits fine. So yes, I have 2 of those. I thought I had timed it so that I would have matching ones, but then when I like to pull from the middle of the Felici skeins, and when I did that, the colorways were in reverse order, which does sometimes happen. I mean, you're not paying very much for a self-striping yarn, so I take what I get and I don't really care. But as you can see, the stripes kind of are upside down on one and the other. It's good because the ugly brown, it's not that ugly, but it's a little bit ugly, is on the heel on both of them. So the light blue part that I like is kind of featured on both socks. So yeah, these are a little bit baggy because I have worn them already. I did dig out my sock blockers so they looked vaguely presentable for the internet. And yeah, did I say I do these on 64 stitches on 2mm needles? It's 64 stitches on 2mm needles, which makes a nice tight gauge that I like for socks. I like my socks to be pretty dense, and I don't mind doing lots of stitches on a very small needle to get a nice thick, dense, bulletproof sock. So yes, another pair of socks in my rotation. Very cozy, very cute. This yarn wears really nicely. Nothing really more to say other than I made some socks for the first time in like a gajillion years. So one more finished object. I know, so prolific. How does she do it? You don't record very often, that's how you do it. So this is actually a gift for my lovely dad. It was his birthday on Thursday, and that was another thing that motivated me to record this podcast, was I have to give him his present tomorrow. I haven't woven in the ends. Who would? This is a scarf, the most boring thing you can knit. I've doubled it over. I don't know if my dad wants a scarf, but he's very knit worthy and I had no idea what to get him for his birthday, and I figured he would wear a scarf, so I made him one, and he has to wear it because I made it. So this yarn is also Knit Picks Felici. But it's the worsted weight version. This is the Colourway bookshop. I think these colorways may still be in the shop, but I did buy them a few months ago, so they may not be anymore. If so, sorry. This is, yeah, Knit Picks Felici worsted in bookshop, and the pattern is really cool. So it's a free pattern from the Purl Soho website, and it's the no purl ribbed scarf. They have a little range of these no purl ribbed patterns. I think there's a scarf, some sort of blanket, a few other things, but anyway, so I believe the stitch pattern is called Cartridge Belt Rib, and it's just knits and slip stitches on both sides that it kind of creates the effect of ribbing, but it's not as like stretchy and shrinky. So for something like a scarf, it just sits nice and flat but has the effect of ribbing. And yeah, it was really fun to do. Scarf didn't take that long and really wasn't that tedious. Probably the combination of and it's just like a 2-row repeat as well, so you really, as long as you have like a stitch marker on one side so you know which side is which, or you can just tell, like once you've done a couple of rows you can tell what you're supposed to be doing. It's very easy to read, so very straightforward to do, and the stripes probably helped as well, that it's fun to kind of just see, or I'll just do one more stripe. So this little marker, that was, yeah, so that was, if I go back, that much of it, I'll go sideways. This, you'll see, this was one skein of the yarn. So I've been looking at people's, I basically just looked at this yarn on Ravelry and looked at projects that people had done that were scarves with this yarn to kind of see how much I would need and what patterns people had used. And I eventually found this pattern that I think works really well. It looks really great with the stripes. I had 3 skeins, so I used probably about 2.5 for the scarf to get it the right length. My dad's about 5'10", and they say that the scarf should be about the length of the person. That's not the length of the scarf should be the height of the recipient. So I just did it like a little bit taller than me, because I'm 5'6", I'm 5'5" and a little bit, so I just give myself an extra bit. So yeah, just made it like a little bit longer than me and kind of ended it so both ends have the dark colors, so it looks a little bit intentional. I think I'm going to add some tassels to it. I'm 99% sure I want to add tassels to it, and it's not that tedious, like it won't take that long, but love to procrastinate. So I'll probably do that tonight. Just to make it like that. That's the kind of thing. I know I've made a beanie for my dad before, and his one complaint was that it didn't have a pom-pom, so I will embellish his scarf. He is very knitworthy. So yes, that is, if you're looking for a scarf pattern, by the way, this one is really great and really free. So it's, yeah, I'm really stoked with how this turned out. As everyone who's learnt to knit and tried to make a scarf as their first project knows, they are very tedious, and you feel, because you're just knitting back and forth on a little thing, but this actually went by really fast. So if someone has asked you for a scarf, highly recommend this yarn, this pattern, and it looks great in self-striping. It would look really lovely like color blocked, or just in one color, or like a fun variegated yarn would be fun. Yeah, so if you need to knit a scarf, highly recommend the No Purl ribbed scarf from Purl Soho. And that is all of the projects that I have finished in the last, like, however long it's been since I last spoke to you. I do have 2 new cast-ons that I will quickly share with you. Which one will I do first? Let's go for this one. So I've been wanting to knit this pattern for the longest time. I'll just find it. It was published in Amirisu issue 19. Let me just find a picture of it, because I've only done a little bit and it's not very clear like what it is. Here we go. So it's the Escala Cardigan by Alice Satano, and there it is. So it's this beautiful kind of oversized cocoony cardigan made with smocked stitches. I've never done smock stitches before. Oh, shiny. There it is. Yeah, you get the idea. So I have started it. So the construction is really cool. You knit it kind of from each side. So you start at and it's knit flat, which some people will hate, but seaming doesn't take that long. Just do it. I don't get people who, I don't get it. Just do a seam. It's really not that hard. People who are like, oh, I can't knit that, I have to sew a tiny seam. No, if you like a pattern, you can spend 1 hour of your life doing some seaming, and it's really not that hard. Sorry. Apparently very team seam here today. Yes, so it's knit flat, and you start at one sleeve and you knit kind of to the center, and then you do the other side, start at one sleeve, knit to the center, and then you graft down the middle to make it one thing, and then you do the seamies, the little sleeve to side seam, and then you pick up and do some cuffs and the kind of neckband and the hem, that's the word. So that was poorly explained, but you kind of get the idea. So that's why it's this weird thing at the moment. So I've started the first side, I've done the sleeve and then the increases, and I'm now on the very start of the body section. It hasn't been blocked, so it's quite like lumpy and squishy, but I think it looks really cool. It kind of looks like, I can't decide if it looks like roof shingles or if it looks like alligator, like crocodile skin, like scales. But yeah, I'd never done like smock stitches before, and I was a little bit worried about controlling the tension, because basically the smock stitches, like you wrap the yarn around the stitches and then knit them. But the technique that, and I'd watched some videos on the internet, because a lot of them you like take the stitches and you manually like wrap the yarn around, and that I'm like quite a tight knitter, and to be honest, I don't know how I have even tension, because I don't ever pay attention to having even tension. I just knit. So I was a bit worried about controlling the tension of the little smocky things. But the technique that Alice has in the pattern, you just like go however many stitches you're doing the smock around, and you just like pick up a stitch, like use the yarn and pull it around. So you just do it like a normal stitch, and then you knit it that little loop that you made. Poorly explained. I hadn't seen, this is like written in the pattern, and it's just like one technique that most of the videos on the internet don't do it this way. But yeah, this is how she did it, and you just pull that stitch around and knit it together. So it's just like one wrap. You're not doing like wrapping your yarn around a gajillion times. You're just doing like one wrap. And yeah, they look a little bit like, so that's the first row that you knit after you do them, they look a little bit squishy, but you can just like pull. So if one of them's looking a little bit small, let's see if I can find one. Like this one here, if it's looking a bit small and tight, you can just like pull at it, and then it like evens it out. And if there's like a little bit gappy on the edges, looking a bit tight, you can just like yank it. Like knitting is quite resilient, so you can just kind of pull at it to even it out. And I really like it. It's really fun. Way more simple than you would think for something that looks really cool. And I can't wait to see how it looks like once it's like blocked, because I think this is going to really flatten out and change with blocking, which will be really cool to see. I will actually block it, because especially, oh, that's the one thing, if you are seaming, block your pieces before you seam them. Learn from my mistakes. It's absolute garbage when you do it the other way. Learn from my laziness and my mistakes. So yeah, it's just really fun. And the yarn I'm using, which I didn't say, is Bendigo Woolen Mills. It's I think it's the luxury 10 ply. The colorway is called Koala. If I hold it like this, you're getting more of it's a bit like kind of cooler browny taupey gray, which is really cute. It's not really, it's kind of the color of a koala's belly. The actual outside of the koala is not this, it's more grey than this, but it's a really pretty colour. I did go to a zoo last weekend, so I do kind of know a lot about koalas. Anyway, yes, really fun, really enjoying it. Oh, and the other thing, I've been meaning to talk about this. So I think I'd seen this on Tommy from Moonstone. Is she Moonstone Makes now? Yes. So I love my Licker interchangeable needle tips. The Licker cables suck. They are really rigid. I'll just show you on this other project I have. I'll explain this mess later. But so the way I hold my needles, they all end up with this like kink in the top part, because the way I hold my needles, I hold them quite far down, so the like cable like sits in the crook of my hand. And because there's like not a lot of like memory in this, or maybe there's too much memory, it gets bent and then it stays bent, and it just looks weird. And it's not very, like, they're really rigid. So doing magic loop can sometimes be a real pain, because these cables are really rigid. So these are Knit Pro cables. They fit on your Licker interchangeable tips, and they're so much more floppy, so much nicer to use. They come in really cute colors, and they're really inexpensive. So if you have Licker interchangeable tips and you get annoyed by the stupid rigid cables, I will still use the rigid cables, because I have like a million of them, and like I can't just throw them away. So I'll still use them. But these, I've bought a couple of sizes of the Knit Pro cables. I think
there are a few Australian stockists. I think I got them from the Yarn Bowl, which is a Brisbane yarn store, but it's on the other side of Brisbane. So I ordered it online because it's a mission to get all the way over to, is she in Narangba? Somewhere on the north side. Yeah, really great. Highly recommend. If you have the Liquor interchangeable tips, get Knit Pro cables. It will change your life. And I'm not exaggerating. Oh, it's getting very dark. So luckily I only have one project left to talk about. And it does not look like anything because I only started this the other day. So you may remember this issue of Pom Pom that everyone went absolutely mental for. It's the dreamscapes. Everything was like pastels and very floaty. Not my vibe. But I did kind of like the idea of this one dress in here. And then I saw the designer. So backtrack. Come on, guys. One day I learned to use a bookmark. Here we go. So this is the Cloudbow by Reed Keys, who is High Fiber Diet on Instagram. And it has a top version and a dress version. It's a top or dress knit kind of entirely in lace weight fuzzy yarn, so like mohair or whatever. I say or whatever because that'll come in. It'll come in later. Doing some foreshadowing. So there's a cute little peplum top version, and then there is this pretty dress version. They're also on the back there. Cute, really cute, right? Reed, who designed the dress, around the time when this issue came out, she then posted the version of the Cloudbow that she'd made for herself in all black, and like it was sick. It's so cool. And I'm just copying exactly what she did. So I closed it, so I'm gonna have to find the picture again. So as you can see, like the top version has this like really nice, like a lot more increases, more like a peplum style. The dress has fewer increases, so it's a little straighter. But for I'm just going to copy. Reed said what she did in her Instagram caption, so I'm just doing exactly what she did because I think it looks really cool. So it's still doing the short sleeves like for the dress. I may do the sleeves even shorter actually, but doing like the full peplum increases, so the dress is like huge, and then a full ruffle around the bottom as well, because there is instructions for all of that in the pattern. So like at each stage it says like if you're doing the top, do this many increases. If you're doing the dress, do this many increases. Really easy to chop and change with the sleeves as well. It's like if you're doing short sleeves or long sleeves. When you get to the bottom, if you're doing a ruffle or no ruffle, like all of that is kind of laid out in the pattern, so you can kind of chop and change bits of it together to make whatever garment you want. And yeah, so I have started it. It doesn't look like anything because basically the construction, you knit like two just loose squares for the front and the back, and then you pick up along the two edges to do the sleeve increases, and then you join in the round to join it together. So that's kind of the stage I am at. So bunchy baby, getting a bit twisted. There we go. And also because it hasn't been blocked or anything, it just looks kind of insane. So yeah, you knit these little like rectangles. It's just all in regular stockinette. Knit these little rectangles, and then I have two of those rectangles joined together. My God. And then I've started the sleeve. I haven't got to the bit where you're in the round. I kind of hoped to get to the bit where I was in the round before I recorded because it's a little clearer what's going on, but it's just weird sheer black business now. The yarn I'm using is very affordable. So it's this FOMO from Spotlight. It's like when it's full price, I think it's $2.50 a ball. It is never full price. I think I probably paid, because I bought it in 2 batches because I bought the amount I thought I needed for the dress, and then I remembered I was going to be doing more increases, so I went back and bought more. I think I have like 15 balls, and I think if I average it out, I probably paid like $1.50 per ball. It is just acrylic, but it, yeah, faux mo, like looks like mohair, but it's all just acrylic, which is fine for a dress that's really like, it would be very expensive to do this in hand-dyed mohair. It's beautiful and people have made gorgeous projects and like go for it, but this is kind of like a weird like witch dress that because you get it, like it's not something I want to spend a lot of money on, but I really want to make it. So like how much, where am I actually going to get out of it? That's a good question, but it's going to be really fun to make. And actually this is like surprisingly not horrible to work with. Sometimes like these kind of fuzzy yarns, especially when there's wool content, they just stick to themselves. So especially if you're pulling from the center, like they wrap around themselves, like the fuzzies get all tangled. This actually isn't bad. Like I think it's because it's plastic. Sorry. It's sorry planet, but it actually doesn't stick to itself too much, so it's actually quite pleasant to work with. So if you like get a bit of yarn buff out of the center of the ball and you wrap it around, it doesn't stick too badly. So it's actually pretty pleasant to work with. If like mohair makes you sneeze, and it isn't sheddy, that's the other thing, it isn't sheddy. I've worked with mohair before and you look like you've been mauled by 100 cats. But this like doesn't really shed, so that's also like a added bonus. So if you are sensitive to mohair or also on a budget, this is a really great alternative. Very affordable. And I just got the black colorway. I think as I said, I have like 15 balls of it, so we'll see how much I actually need. But yeah, I can't wait. I think it's going to be really, really cool. I will link to Reed's Instagram in the comments, the description boxy below, so you can go and look at her version that I'm just straight up copying. And it's like the witch dress of everyone's dreams. So can I get it finished by Halloween? That would be awesome. But I don't want to go as a witch to Halloween, but it would just be like for during the day on Halloween before I put my costume on. Haven't even decided what I'm going to be for Halloween, and it's July. Need to get a wriggle on. Anyway, Cloudbow. That's what I've been working on. So sorry this is a slightly longer episode than usual, but I feel like I just kept talking in one long sentence. So how are you? What are you working on? How is things where you are? I hope you've been keeping well and healthy, and if you're in Australia, like please, if you haven't got your flu shot, it is free. Please go get your flu shot. The flu season is awful this year and everyone has been ill. So if you haven't got your flu shot, this is Auntie Eleanor telling you to go and get your flu shot. It's free. But yes, I hope you're all keeping safe and well and healthy, and that you're having fun with your knitting. Say hi in the comments below. Let me know what you're knitting. Let me know what else is going on. Are you watching anything fun? Are you reading anything fun? Because probably next time I record, I won't have that much to talk about because I'm working on 2 quite big projects. If there's anything you're interested in what I've been doing, listening to, reading, watching, let me know below. And yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I will catch you next time. Bye guys.